President Donald Trump. Should the good outweigh the bad? Now, this is part two. Part one, we done on my backup channel early this morning. So if you want to get a chance to see part one to this demonstration, go to my backup channel, After Dark with Shank. Now, this is part two. Salute to the chat. Salute everybody. Salute to the replay gang. Salute to all my moderators. Let me read my copyright disclaimer real quick. Well, I don't even have my copyright disclaimer. I thought I added the copyright disclaimer. But everything that you hear in this demonstration is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Everything that you hear in this demonstration is only allegedly. It's the opinions of mine and others. Salute to the chat. Now, the reason why I asked this question is because Donald Trump, in my opinion, Donald Trump has some good things about him. Donald Trump has some bad things about him. Now, what I want to do first, I want to backtrack. I want to backtrack the presidential debate between Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. So let's backtrack first, all right? Make sure y'all hit the double tap the screen and hit the like button. But let's backtrack, y'all.
Good evening. We are looking forward to a spirited and thoughtful debate.
So let's get started. I want to begin tonight with the issue that voters repeatedly say is their number one issue, and that is the economy and the cost of living in this country. Vice President Harris, you and President Trump were elected 4 years ago, and your opponent on the stage here tonight often asks his supporters, are you better off than you were 4 years ago? When it comes to the economy, do you believe Americans are better off than they were 4 years ago?
So I was raised as a middle-class kid, and I am actually the only person on this stage who has a plan that is about lifting up the middle class and working people of America. I believe in the ambition, the aspirations, the dreams of the American people. And that is why I imagine and have actually a plan to build what I call an opportunity economy. Because here's the thing. We know that we have a shortage of homes and housing, and the cost of housing is too expensive for far too many people. We know that young families need support to raise their children, and I intend on extending a tax cut for those families of $6,000, which is the largest child tax credit that we have given in a long time, so that those young families can afford to buy a crib, buy a car seat, buy clothes for their children. My passion, one of them, is small businesses. My mother raised my sister and me, but there was a woman who helped raise us. We call her our second mother. She was a small business owner. I love our small businesses. My plan is to give a $50,000 tax deduction to start up small businesses, knowing they are part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
2 weeks in office. 2 weeks in office. Do y'all feel like Kamala Harris was telling the truth about Donald Trump's tax cuts? 2 weeks in office. The tariffs against Canada, Mexico, and China. Is this part of what Kamala was saying? Was Kamala on point at the debate? Let's let Trump speak.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because there was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before, probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics, and also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country, and they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality, and we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are good.
Based on what we just heard from President Trump. Now, this is the presidential debate between Trump and Kamala. Based on what we heard from both, based on what we heard from Kamala, was Kamala on point about Trump? Based on what we heard from Trump, is Trump on point about the tariffs? He did speak on the tariffs in the presidential debate against Kamala Harris. What are y'all thoughts on that? Let me know down there in the chat. When it comes to the debate and what they spoke on, who are y'all riding with? Is Trump upholding what he said on the debate about lowering prices? He did say going after Canada and China and them. In y'all opinion, is it a smart move? Drop a 1 if you think these tax cuts, if you think these tariffs is a smart move. Drop a 2 if you think it's a bad move.
300,000 deportations a year. He put child asylum seekers in jail-like conditions, and he was also called the deporter-in-chief by Latino activist groups.
We're not talking about President Trump. We're actually talking about President Barack Obama. However, both presidents had something in common. Tom Homan, a cop, border patrol agent, and the man tasked to create the agency we now know as ICE. He writes in his memoir why illegal immigration should not be a partisan issue. He also supports the family separation policy, something he says is not about punishment, but about consequences. So while the country braces for the sweeping changes for immigrants in this country, Tom Homan says he's just getting started. Border Czar Tom Homan joining us now. Good to see you. Appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
Let's talk about the raids that we've been reporting on, the initial phase, all about going in for those criminals, the violent criminals. Now I'm reading about car washes, going after certain businesses, arrests being made. If you're an illegal immigrant, you're out of there. So tell us exactly how many of these arrests actually involve people with criminal records other than illegal entry.
Look, I'm looking at the numbers this morning. We're about 14,000 arrests, and about 76% of them are criminals. That's the target of the operation, right? But where the collateral arrests happen when we're looking for the bad guy, and we find others with them. And we have told ICE officers they're going to enforce the law. Unlike the last administration, we're not telling ICE agents to ignore the oath you took, ignore the immigration law. The immigration officers enforce those laws. And here's a problem. I would love to arrest a bad guy in a city or county jail, but in sanctuary cities we don't have access. So they're going to release a public safety threat back into the community, which I think is foolish. Puts the community at risk, puts our officers at risk, and puts the alien at risk, because anything can happen at a street arrest. So if sanctuary cities want to force me in the communities to find a bad guy, that's what we'll do. And when we find a bad guy, many times we're with others. If they're in the country legally, they're coming too.
Let me ask you.
What are y'all thoughts? Appreciate those super stickers, Miss Parker. Appreciate those super stickers. What are y'all thoughts? They're now going after the car wash people. The Full Life says, not the car wash. Immigrants gotta get creative. What are y'all thoughts on the new Trump administration as far as the border control and these ICE raids? What are y'all thoughts? Trump is doing a lot. Now we're going to chop it up. We're going to find out, does the good that Donald Trump outweigh the bad?
About the numbers. It's been reported that you've got a goal of 1,500 arrests per day. Are you hitting that? Is there pressure to reach that goal, to get the numbers up?
I don't have a quote. I don't have a goal. I want to arrest as many as we can arrest.
So there's no word from the White House, we need more numbers.
I have sent no quota out there, but I've told ICE, I have asked the question this morning, are you happy with the number of ICE arrests? No, I'm not. We need to do more. We got over 700,000 illegal aliens in this country with a criminal conviction. So 500 a day? No, it's not good enough. We need to find these people and take them off the street.
You talk about taking down the violent criminals, the gang members, but then the illegal immigrants at places like the car washes and other businesses. What's your message to businesses if they have these folks working for them right now?
Well, I think I said from day one, the president's been clear, we're concentrating on public safety threats and national security threats. Well, if you're in the country illegally, you're not off the table, but you're not going to be a priority. But I'm sure the car wash, I'm not familiar with that operation, but I'm sure they're looking for a criminal, and they didn't find, they found others. But worksite enforcement is coming back. And why? Because number one, a lot of the employers will employ illegal aliens. No one hires an illegal alien out of the goodness of their heart. They hire them because they work them hard to pay them, unless they undercut the competition as U.S. citizen employees.
Stop right there. And this is what I've been saying for the longest time. They're not hiring these illegal immigrants because they like them. They're hiring these illegal immigrants because they can work them to death, same way they did the slaves, and they can pay them less, same way they did the slaves. So don't get it twisted when we think about the illegal immigrants. Yeah, Shank, they come here and they work hard and they only work, for a little bit of money. Well, it's a reason on both sides. It's a reason why the illegal immigrants come here and work hard for less pay. It's a reason why the business owners hire these illegal immigrants. It's a business match on both sides. It's not like the illegal immigrants, trust me, y'all, if the illegal immigrants didn't have to flee their countries and come here, they wouldn't be here. Trust me. If the owners of these companies couldn't get away with slaving these illegal immigrants, they wouldn't have these illegal immigrants working for them. So we got to look at both sides. I said this a couple demonstrations ago, as far as we praising the illegal immigrants, but trust me, if they could be in their own countries, they wouldn't be here. And black Americas, as well as white Americas, y'all remember back in the 80s and the 90s, we were the ones that worked those minimum wage jobs. I had about 4 or 5 minimum wage jobs. So don't get it twisted and praise the illegal immigrants and throw black Americans and white Americans under the bus, because black Americans and white Americans used to work those minimum wage jobs.
But most importantly, where do we find most victims of trafficking? Work sites. They have to pay the cartels off. They force them in labor situations, overwork them, abuse them. So many victims of trafficking are found at work sites. So that's another reason why we're doing work site enforcement operations.
So during the campaign, President Trump talked about going after hardened criminals, right? The worst of the worst. Is that really who you're finding right now? The Washington Post, we were just talking, has a story about a man who's been in the country 24 years. He's got 4 children here. Works at a chicken processing plant, which, sometimes get hard up for labor. And he had 1 conviction of driving without a license. And he's now being deported. Is that really what you want to do?
Now, let's take this for an example. Let's say if I could 25 years ago, right? I broke the law 25 years ago. Now, I moved on with my life. I'm working. I got a family now. I'm raising my kids. And it's a warrant out for my arrest from 25 years ago. When they come and get me, am I going to have the same story to tell that this man had? I'm not going to be able to use, look, man, I've been out of trouble for 25 years. I got a family now. I'm working. I'm paying taxes and everything. Please don't lock me up. They gonna lock my funky ass up. Let me let y'all see. They gonna lock my funky ass up, and I'm gonna have to suffer the consequences. I mean, it is what it is. Some of these cases, yes, some of them are very sensitive cases because you look at it like, damn, my man, you know, he is an illegal immigrant, but, you know, he did, you know, make the best out of the 20 plus years that he been here. You know what I mean? He do have a family. See, why is it that black Americans and white Americans have to suffer the consequences when we do wrong? But why do the illegal immigrants get a pass? Somebody please explain that to me. If a white man, a white woman, a black man, a black woman, if we got a warrant out for our arrest from 20 years ago because we broke the law 20 years ago, and now we have become successful, we got a family, they still going to lock us up. And they are still going to prosecute us when we go to court. It's no different. It's no different. And I know it may sound harsh, but he broke the law. These immigrants broke the law. Why should they get a pass? Black Americans and white Americans can't get no pass when we break the law.
Two things. The priority right now is public safety threats and national security threats. And everybody we go to arrest, when we arrest a public safety threat, we know exactly who we're looking for, more or less where we're likely to find them, and other information we have is criminal history, we have his immigration history. These are planned enforcement operations. It's not a sweep. We're not going through neighborhood looking for people different than us. These are well-planned, investigated leads. Then we go out and look for the person we're looking for. Well, that person just mentioned is in the country illegally?
Yeah.
He shouldn't be here.
He's got 4 kids. He's working.
If we want to send a message to the whole world, it's okay to enter the country illegally. It's a crime, but don't worry about it. Hide out long enough to have a U.S. citizen child, you're immune. If that's the message we send to the whole world, they're going to keep entering this country illegally. More aliens would die making that journey. You'll keep overwhelming the Border Patrol. When the Border Patrol gets overwhelmed, that's when the fentanyl comes across the border to kill 250,000 Americans. That's when sex trafficking goes up 600%. That's when the numbers of non-expected terrorists cross the border when the border gets overwhelmed. If you're in this country illegally, you got a problem. It's not okay to enter this country illegally. It is a crime.
Fair enough. So you're not just going after hardened criminals and the worst of the worst.
Well, absolutely. That is our priority.
Not just.
That is our priority, but that doesn't mean everybody else is off the table. If we run into somebody's not a priority, we will enforce immigration law. Name another federal agency or another law enforcement agency that we tell them don't enforce the law.
Let me jump down to the chat and see what the chat is saying. Salute everybody. Sadie says, that's so, you right. Our leaders are as bad and greedy as hell. Joseph Ann says, I believe if you come here for all those years, you should be working and getting their citizenship. And that's what I'm saying. You've been here for 20 years. I mean, come on. Some situations, you know, it do take long. But once again, why, if white Americans and black Americans can't get a pass on something that we did 20 years ago, why should they get a pass? They broke the law. They're here illegal. And this is the thing about it. This is the thing about it. Donald Trump, he been said what he was going to do. Why didn't they prepare for this? As an illegal immigrant, why didn't they prepare for this? That's like me being a black man. And that's like if they say, if a president is running and the president says, The president says, when I get in office, what I'm going to do is any government programs that black American men that's over 50, if any of those programs are still in existence, when I get in office, I'm going to cut all those programs. What's that telling me as a black American male over 50? That's telling me to prepare. So when this person becomes president, I already know what he's going to do. So I'm already prepared for when he get in office, whereas though I don't need that program no more. Why didn't the illegal immigrants plan? I know what y'all gonna say. Shank, they ain't have enough time to plan. See, it's always excuses. Ann says, my parents did it. They came for college. Dad graduated from Johnson and Wales. Mom graduated from Harvard University. Then they got their citizenship. Congratulations, Ann. And that's all I'm saying. Like, it can be done. It's a slap in the face to legal immigrants. Y'all know how many legal immigrants, like Ann's parents did, and did it the right way? It's a slap in their face. It's saying like a black man or a white man selling drugs, and when we get caught, we say, oh, I'm selling drugs to take care of my family because there ain't no jobs out there. We're not going to be able to use that excuse. We're not going to be able to use that excuse. So why should they get to use these excuses? I just don't understand some of you American people. They come here, they get benefits that they get the civil rights benefits that we don't even get. They turn their noses up at black Americans. I don't know about white Americans. White Americans will have to talk to me about that. Salute, Cynthia. Salute, Cynthia. But they come to this country and they turn their noses up at black Americans. Salute, mama. They look down on black Americans. But here go black Americans. Okay, mama says they don't like us either. Exactly. So these immigrants, when they come here, they don't like black Americans. They don't like white Americans either. So why are we fighting for them? Donald Trump said they gonna take the black jobs. Black people got in our feelings once again. What are you talking about, black jobs? See, I can't do this with Trump. He was right. They're gonna take those black jobs. They're gonna take. Let me let it run. Let me let it run, y'all.
It's just ice. We're going to enforce law. We're going to enforce laws enacted by Congress and signed by the president. If Congress is going to enact laws that they don't want to enforce, then I think what better things for them to be doing. Look, people need to understand, illegal immigration is not a victimless crime. People say, well, coming here for a better life. I get that. But when you cause a crisis as big as the Biden administration did,
stop right there. What about the black Americans, the white Americans, and the legal immigrants that live in this country that got similar situations as the illegal immigrants? Some legal immigrants in America, some black Americans in America, some white Americans in America. Some of us got it worse than those illegal immigrants got it in their country. So what's the difference? Somebody tell me, why do we always get overlooked as Americans? Why do the American people always get overlooked? I see you, Freshie 915. Appreciate you, Freshie 915. So true. LNAACP works for the Mexicans as well. However, the civil rights group for Mexicans will not work for us. That's facts. Chief says, believing everything white man says. I mean, come on, y'all. Yeah, we got like I say, every fight is not our fight. It's not. But I want to get back to the main demonstration. Mama says they take jobs from us too, like housekeeping, cleaning, buildings, and hotels. That's facts, mama. Now, I'm going to talk about some of the things that, in my opinion, and many other people feel that Trump, is bad. And I'll say for me, his mouth. He don't know what to say out his mouth, Now, Salute, Tyson. Appreciate you for pulling up, Tyson. Now, President Donald Trump, does the good outweigh the bad? Drop a one if you feel like Donald Trump's good outweighs his bad. Drop a 2 if you say hell to the nah.
Over once a board tour, 70% of agents pulled off the line. That's when all of the bad stuff happened. I've been doing this for 34 years. People don't understand what happens to these people. There's been studies done that 31% of women that make that journey through the cartels get sexually assaulted. They get raped. Not once, but numerous times. Children die on that border every day. While you and I are talking right now, women are being raped by the cartels as part of the requirement to cross this border. A child will die on the border today. And we're simply, a secure border saves lives, and that's what we're doing.
As I can see, Coffee Girl is back at it. Coffee Girl comes in as a troublemaker. I see you, Coffee Girl.
Oh, let me ask you about that. Actually, 2 things. I want to ask you about the cartels, and I do want to ask you about the trafficking. In your memoir, and I took note of this, you describe one of the most devastating moments in your career. You say in your book that you saw the back of a truck filled with dead bodies of those being trafficked. Are you worried at all that this mission could actually lead to the deportation of trafficking victims, or even cause those who are being exploited to not report it?
No. I think we made it clear, if you're a victim of trafficking, there's actually benefits to be given to you. As I just said, worksite enforcement operators, one of the main reasons we're doing it, to find victims of trafficking, because they need a lot of help from the U.S. government. So no, this is about prioritizing the worst of the worst. This is about arresting public safety threats and national security. However, we got 1.4 million illegal aliens in this country who had due process at great taxpayer expense. They've been ordered removed by a federal judge. We have to, and if those orders don't mean anything, if we go through this whole process, okay, you want to claim asylum? You got that right. You want to see a judge? You got that right. We'll make that happen. But at the end of that due process, if a federal judge says you must leave, if we don't make them leave and execute the orders, then what the hell are we doing? Just shut down the immigration court. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Take the border patrol off the border because there's no consequences. We have to enforce the law.
I totally agree. We have to enforce the law. Nobody gets a pass. Nobody gets a pass. Now we're going to move on to the judge pauses Trump's buyout offer to federal workers. I mean, then if the illegal immigrants get a pass, then white people that always get called out for white privilege, then they'll have a complaint. They'll be able to say, hey, people are always talking about it's a such thing as white privilege. See, y'all got to look at it from all angles. You got to look at it from a Black American perspective. You got to look at it from a white American perspective, as well as a legal immigrant perspective. White Americans, Black Americans, and legal immigrants, we are the ones that the illegal immigrants are taking advantage of. Why do we got to do it the right way, but they don't?
We are following breaking news. A judge has just paused tonight's midnight deadline for federal employees to decide whether to take President Trump's so-called buyout. The deal would mean that they quit their jobs and hope to be paid through September or risk getting laid off anyway. It's part of the Trump administration's aggressive push to shrink the government. And at the center of it all is Elon Musk. Over the past 3 weeks or so, we have watched the world's richest man threaten massive job cuts across several agencies, from the Treasury to the U.S. Agency for International Development and the CIA, just to name a few. Next, he could come swinging for the Department of Education and the Environmental Protection Agency, and we'll have more on that in a moment. First, though, let's turn to CNN's Jeff Zeleny, who is live for us at the White House. Jeff, walk us through the judge's decision. It's a big one, and are you hearing anything from the administration in response?
Well, Brianna, we were about 10 hours or so away from that midnight deadline where federal employees would have been able to accept this offer to essentially not return to work and be paid through September if they would not like to participate in the return to office program. But that is all now on hold. As you said, a federal judge in Massachusetts putting the deadline on hold pending oral arguments on Monday. So for now, at least, this is in suspension mode. This is what we've seen from several executive orders the president has signed. A judge steps in and excuse me, puts a bit of a pause on this. So far, the White House has not reacted to this ruling. We are expected to hear from the president later. I'm sure he will have words to say on this. But at the heart of this is how some federal workers believe they are actually being respected or not in the case of this order. The White House press secretary just a short time ago had this to say about this offer.
Before I let everybody hear it, I just want to thank Ann for purchasing a membership to the channel. Appreciate the new membership, Ann. If you would like to support the channel, you can support the channel by purchasing a membership as Ann did, or you could purchase a super sticker or a super chat. Appreciate you, Ann. Super chats, if you purchase a super chat, I answer everybody that purchased a super chat. Sometimes you might leave a comment that you want me to read, but I might not read it. Sometimes you might have a question for me to ask, but I might not read the question and answer it. If you purchase a super chat, I answer all super chats. Once again, appreciate that new membership, Ann.
We encourage federal workers in this city to accept the very generous offer. If they don't want to show up to the office, if they want to rip the American people off, then they're welcome to take this buyout, and we'll find highly competent individuals who want to fill these roles.
Appreciate this super sticker, Nicole. Appreciate the super sticker, Nicole. Ann says, I was already a member. I just had to renew it. Appreciate that membership, Ann. Appreciate that super sticker, Nicole.
Her words there, if they want to rip the American people off, who she's talking about there is the federal workforce, from the CIA to the FBI to the FAA, actual people behind these offers. And just because people may be working from home or off-site does not mean, of course, that they're ripping people off. But if you look at some of these factors now that are going into this, an email was sent out overnight giving employees one more chance to sign up for all of this, and they're really trying to make the case here that it's good for them, that the three federal unions that brought this suit are arguing and have been instructing workers to be very careful about this buyout offer, because they say there are no guarantees at all for any of this. So for now, at least, Brianna, this is on hold until Monday, pending oral arguments. Again, no immediate comment from the White House. We've checked and they've not gotten back to us.
Even though I don't want to read this super chat, but I gotta read it. Appreciate the super chat, Coffee Girl. Coffee Girl says, you have no hair on your head. I can see my troublemakers are in full effect. I guess positive vibes will be next. All right, I see y'all. Appreciate the super chat, Coffee Girl. Appreciate the membership and appreciate the super sticker, Nicole Carter.
All right, we'll wait to see what they do say. Jeff Zeleny live for us at the White House. Thank you. Horace?
Federal employees at the EPA's Environmental Justice and Civil Rights Office have been told they could be put on leave in the coming days. They were told at an all-staff meeting the change would be part of President Trump's order ending all DEI initiatives.
How do y'all feel about the DEIs? I see you, the For Life. They even got my main man, the For Life, down in the chat roasting me. Appreciate that super sticker, Ann. Appreciate that super sticker, Ann. What do y'all think about the DEIs? I see all my troublemakers are in full effect. They even got the For Life saying shank catching darts. All right, all right, all right. Jamie and the rest of y'all. But what do y'all think about the DEIs, y'all? Let's tap into the DEIs.
CNN's Renee Marsh is going to break this down for us. Renee, the Trump administration has already closed the EPA's DEI office. So what does the Environmental Justice Office do, and how many workers could be impacted?
Right, so this is an office, it's the Environmental Justice as well as the External Civil Rights Office. And these are individuals who are making sure that grants, policies are keeping in mind that there are certain communities that could be facing disproportionate impacts from things like climate change and pollution, and making sure that federal funding and programs are equitably distributed so that they can prepare themselves, make sustainability plans for their communities as well as resilience for their communities. So that's at the heart of the work that they do there.
Now, I will agree with Ann. Target is feeling it, y'all. Target's, I believe, oh man, I heard it on the radio earlier today, but those that do business with Target, Target suppliers, they're suing Target. Target is really feeling it. You got Black Americans as well as white Americans, because white Americans, one thing that I will say about a lot of white Americans, as well as other nationalities, and I want to shout out all white Americans, Asians, Latinos, Mexicans. I want to shout out all of them, other nationalities that do join in when Black Americans are treated unfairly. Because I see that not only Black Americans are boycotting Target, white Americans are boycotting Target as well. And I've seen some Asians, Hispanics, and Latinos as well. So I know that if we as the American people, if we can all pull together, if we can all join in on each other's struggles and help each other in our fight for justice, I do believe that that's the true America. That's the true meaning of America. Many people under one nation. So shout out to everybody that's not racist. Racist has no place in America from this point on. Appreciate that super sticker, Freshie 915. Appreciate that super sticker, Freshie 915.
But the Trump administration sees work like this as an extension of DEI. However, many of the employees I speak to don't view themselves as DEI employees. They actually see that this is work that's being done to make sure that all communities have access to the resources to protect themselves from things like pollution and climate change. So back to what we're learning, many of the staffers within this office and division of the EPA are literally on pins and needles, waiting to hear that they too would be put on paid administrative leave. And this comes after that meeting that you mentioned, in which they essentially said that we plan on enforcing the president's directive through his executive order to dismantle programs like this. And so what does that mean? I mean, his executive order very clearly states that offices focused on environmental justice should be terminated. So employees got that word yesterday. Fast forward to today, I've not received any messages from anyone saying that they've been placed on leave, but they said that they are expecting that this will happen in the coming days. And of course, Boris, this is just one of many agencies in which we have seen this.
I'll ask the question again. Drop a one in the chat if you feel like Donald Trump's good should overweigh his bad. Drop a 2 if you feel like hell nah. So drop a 1 if you feel like, look, we know that Donald Trump has done some bad things, said some bad things. However, the good that he done should overweigh those bad things. Drop a 1. Drop a 2 if you feel like hell to the nah. I see you, Precious Jones.
Yeah, apparently DOGE is looking at every single agency across the U.S. government. Renee Marsh, thanks so much for the update. Brianna?
And with us now is Democratic Congresswoman Melanie Stansbury. She is the top Democrat on the Oversight Committee's DOGE subcommittee, which is a mouthful. Congresswoman, thank you so much for being with us. And you and a number of other Democrats showed up at Treasury a couple days ago after we had learned that Elon Musk's DOGE effort had gained access to their payment machine, which was a big deal. Was it, though, just a show of opposition? Were you able to achieve something?
Well, I think, first of all, we have to observe that even a federal court judge today agreed that Elon Musk is breaking the law.
Stop right there, y'all. A federal judge has agreed that Elon Musk is breaking the law. Appreciate the new membership as well, Freshie 915. Appreciate the new membership, Freshie 915, as well as that super sticker. If you would like to support the channel financially, just click on the $ symbol. Now, I see you, Coffee Girl. You will not leave me alone. Now, this is one of the bad things that I feel when it comes to Trump, as far as the position that Elon Musk has. Now, a federal judge, ruled that Elon Musk is wrong. Trump is wrong for having Elon Musk in that position. How do y'all feel? Drop a 3. Drop a 3 if you agree with the federal judge that Elon Musk is breaking the law. Drop a 4 if you feel like Elon Musk is not breaking the law.
Whether that's trying to fire federal officials, they're freezing federal funds, they're stealing our data at Treasury. And so over 24 members of Congress in both the House and the Senate showed up. We requested access to meet with the Secretary of the Treasury and to discuss what's going on and to find out from both politicals and senior officials what data they have access to. When we got there, we met with the Secret Service who was guarding the area, and basically we were told that the politicals had been informed we were there, and they left us standing outside. And so there were probably thousands of people in the streets. The American people are marching in every major city right now, demanding that Elon Musk be held accountable. And so our responsibility as members of Congress is to show up, to conduct oversight. We were there to perform oversight over the Secretary and the Doge team, and we were denied access. So
now, I wanted to give y'all, both sides. I wanted to give y'all the good, the bad, and the ugly. I see you, the full life coffee girl, then messed up my man, the full life coffee girl, got my main man sitting beside her at the troubles table. Now, I gave y'all the good. I gave y'all some good things that Trump done. I gave y'all some bad and ugly things that he done. Now, somebody mentioned something about Bill Gates. Nobody complained about Bill Gates, So what are we going to do? What are we going to do with Donald Trump? I mean, we still have 4 years, and I believe we going on week number 3. This is only the 3rd week. Now, could it be that he has signed off on all these executive orders early on to get everything out the way, and maybe he will slow down, or maybe there's more executive orders to come? Who knows? Week 1, I believe I can't remember how many executive orders he signed off on in week 1. Then week 2 rolled around. It was a second set of executive orders that he signed off on. So could it be more executive orders to come? What are y'all thoughts? I'll give y'all my thoughts. 70% I disagree. In my opinion, I think that the good that Donald Trump does should outweigh the bad. That's just my opinion. And this is only my opinion right now. I don't know down the line when it all plays out. I don't know how it will be 6 months from now. I don't know how it will be at the end of Donald Trump's presidency. It might go from 70% I agree with, 30% I disagree. It might go to 30% I agree and 70% I disagree. So those are my thoughts on it. What are y'all thoughts? Like I said, I feel like the good that he does should outweigh the bad.
That's why we were there. You don't have this lever really of lawsuits because Democrats are not in control of Congress. But there are outside lawsuits, and as you mentioned, and we just covered, you're now seeing stuff move through the courts. Mm-hmm. It is a slower process, certainly, than the swift process that we see Elon Musk and his Doge associates sweeping through the government with. So do you have confidence that the court system can respond in the manner and with the speed that it needs to in order to address concerns that you have?
I mean, right now, it's the tool that we have to stop them in their tracks. If you look at what happened last week, illegally, the White House froze funds for literally thousands of entities across the country. They tried to lock states out of the Medicaid system. And within 24 hours, we went to the courts, the state attorney generals went to the courts, and 2 different federal judges said, this is illegal. We're going to put a pause on this. We now have this with the federal employees. We now have this with the Treasury Department. The courts is the tool right now because Republicans control not only the House and the Senate, but the White House as well. And so, if you watch the Oversight Committee yesterday, they've completely abdicated any oversight on the Republican side of the aisle. In fact, when we tried to invite Elon Musk to come appear in front of the committee, they denied our request. And then we tried to subpoena him yesterday. And when we tried to hold them to account, all hell broke out in the committee because they have zero interest in performing oversight.
Well, part of it didn't work out because that was a surprise move, right, to subpoena Elon Musk. But there were actually a couple Democrats who were critical to the effort who didn't show up. They missed the vote, insisting that they wanted to be there, but it was something that was organized pretty quickly. You told this to Kristen Welker in December. I want to listen to this.
And I just think that as we're facing the Trump administration, we have to have well-oiled committee machines, well-oiled leadership machines, and that we have to know how to serve the American people in an effective manner.
Looking at yesterday, and I know it was an effort to kind of throw something together, but it didn't work out. That wasn't well-oiled. How do you, going forward, try to change that?
Well, I think it's important to understand how the committee process actually plays out. Republicans are in the majority, and at any given time, it's very unlikely that the Republicans are not going to stall the proceedings so that they can get enough members in the room. Now, if the chairman had actually held the vote at the moment the motion was made, we would have destroyed them in the vote. But what happened was there were only like 4 members on the Republican side even in the room because people are doing lots of different things during the day. And so if you notice in the tape, they had to hold the vote open for, 15 minutes until they could get enough Republicans in the room. So, we're not in the majority, but that doesn't mean that as the resistance inside of our agents or inside of the Congress, that we can't use that platform to show that we're fighting for the American people. But procedurally, we're going to lose because we're not in the majority.
One thing that I agree with Trump, I agree the immigration executive orders. One thing that I disagree with how he has Elon Musk running things. I disagree with some, I agree with others. Some things I disagree with Trump. And that's one of the things that I disagree. I don't feel like Elon Musk should have any of ours personal information. Drop a 1 if you feel the same. Drop a 1 if you feel like Elon Musk should not have any of our information. Drop a 2 if it doesn't bother you. I agree when it comes to the transgender men playing in all female sports. I feel like no man that was born with a male instrument should be playing in a all-female sport. Drop a 8 if you agree with me. Drop a 9 if you disagree.
At the top front of the program, we laid out the administration's rewriting of what the president said last night about taking over Gaza and remaking it as a Riviera of the Middle East, his words. Regardless of what the people around him say he said it all on camera, and millions of people saw it, including Arab Americans, many of whom voted for him. More from CNN's Jason Carroll now in Dearborn, Michigan.
Days before the last presidential election, Donald Trump was the invited guest at the Great Commoner restaurant in Dearborn, Michigan. Albert Abbas says he extended that invitation, a decision he is now reflecting on given all that has happened in the last 24 hours.
Many in the community are at a loss for words. Last night was a very rough night for most of us.
Abbas is Arab American and one of a number of Democrats who voted for Trump. Abbas says he hoped Trump would do more than President Joe Biden did to help Palestinians suffering in Gaza.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip.
But after Trump said Palestinians should leave Gaza so it can be redeveloped, Abbas says not only does he feel betrayed, he's hearing from a number of people angered over his past support of Trump.
Now, we're going to end this demonstration on this right here. Now, I disagree with Trump taking over the Gaza Strip. How do y'all feel? And tomorrow, well, with my next demonstration, this is what we'll talk about. How do the American people feel about Trump taking over the Gaza Strip? I'm against it, and I'll tell y'all why I'm against it. He's going to spend billions and billions of dollars to rebuild the Gaza Strip. Well, what about rebuilding Detroit? What about rebuilding Jacksonville, Florida? What about rebuilding St. Louis, Missouri? What about rebuilding what about rebuilding the homeless? What about rebuilding the veterans? How about paying public school teachers more money than they are being paid? Listen, y'all, listen. Don't get me wrong. I'm for helping out other places. I see you got Roast down there. Okay, Roast said, what about rebuilding my headline? All right, I thought you was roasting me, Roast. Roast says, what about rebuilding my headline? But my whole thing is, let's take care of home first. I don't agree with no president. I don't agree with no politicians. I don't agree with nobody in office rebuilding, worrying about rebuilding other countries, sending billions and billions of dollars to these other countries to rebuild these other countries. Okay, I see a couple of y'all says, Shank, he's not using our money. Please, somebody tell me whose money is he using? Before I move on, can somebody tell me if he's not using our money, whose money is he using? Right. Why not rebuild LA? Why not rebuild Oakland? Why not rebuild Texas, Dallas, Texas, Houston, the 5th Ward? Why not rebuild Louisiana? The Middle East money. All right. Then that's going to be something that we're going to have to debate. Well, not debate. My bad. Let me backtrack. That's going to be something that we're going to go over on the next demonstration. Salute, Brother Nazir. Salute, Brother Nazir. And what I'm going to do, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have an open panel. All right. So if y'all would like to join me on the panel, I'm going to make sure that the demonstration for tomorrow, and we're going to chop it up about Trump rebuilding the Gaza Strip. I'm going to make that an open panel. Salute 80s, baby. I see you. Salute. So if y'all would like to join me on the panel, make sure y'all pull up tomorrow at 5. It's going to be an open panel.
People were really frustrated. And I don't think there's anyone to blame. At the end of the day, as Arab Americans or Muslims, we really didn't have much of a choice.
Dearborn, a Detroit suburb, is home to the largest Arab American population in the United States, a community which helped Trump carry the critical swing state. He won 42% of the vote in Dearborn versus Vice President Harris with 36% and Jill Stein with 18%. In 2020, Biden handily carried the city with 69%. Faye Nimmer voted for Trump in 2024 out of frustration over the previous administration's support of Israel. Now, she is troubled by the president's proposal to move Palestinians out of Gaza.
I mean, it's very concerning and it's infuriating.
Personal feelings, you're infuriated, but standing by your decision for now to have voted for Trump.
Correct.
And what would move that needle for you to say, you know what, I made a mistake?
Palestine is the red line for this community.
Nimmer says she suspects Trump is bluffing and is using his proposal as some sort of negotiating tactic. That's the same sentiment shared by Amar Zar.
First, this is clearly not going to happen, right?
And real estate broker Ali Al-Farajala.
A lot of people are calling me, texting me, saying, hey, how did your vote work out? How was that third party vote?
Both were so-called protest voters. Neither supported Trump or Harris.
Are there any sort of second thoughts now about having supported a third party candidate?
Absolutely not. And I'll still do it again and again and again.
I didn't vote for Trump. So a protest vote, I don't know. I would say it was a targeted vote of conscience to say that the children of Gaza have to mean something. Their death has to mean something.
IRS e-file is open. File your taxes.
All right, y'all. I'm going to grab a few comments. Then we're going to get out of here. Brother Nalazi, I see you. Tyson says Gaza is not livable for people, though it's a ground zero. Hisaka says Tyson, and why is that? KRAR says Macy, crazier part is that everybody that does trust him gets betrayed and screwed over and over again. Others keep making the same mistake they watch others make. Coffee Girl says Gaza has been a war zone for over a year. None can live there. Macy says, I can't believe you all trust Trump. Hisaka says, Macy, we don't. Tyson says, war, obviously. I could care less about both sides or their beef. I care about America first. I'm with you on that, Tyson. I'm with you on that, Tyson. KRAR says, Coffee Girl, that's a great reason why we just stay the hell out of there, especially as there's an ocean in between us. Do you have some common sense and facts? We don't. Mama says, I think it should be illegal if you don't want your children vaccinated. They don't have to be, because I got told by my children's doctor, if I don't vaccinate my younger children, then I'm kicked out. I agree with you on that, Mama. I agree with you on that.
One point is uniting them: opposition to Trump's proposal to move Palestinians out of Gaza.
The community will be unified. I will tell you this. The Palestinian people would rather die and live in a demolition site than to be ethnically cleansed and being sent out of Gaza to Egypt or Jordan.
So again,
salute D Money. Salute D Money. Appreciate you for pulling up. So, what are y'all thoughts on this topic? President Donald Trump, should his good outweigh his bad? What are y'all thoughts? What are y'all thoughts on today's topic? President Donald Trump, should his good outweigh his bad? Jason says, KR, are you don't remember the Biden years already? D Money says 50-50. How do y'all feel? D Money says 50-50. Should Trump's good outweigh his bad? Positive Vibe says, have to let it play out some more. Tyson says, Coffee Girl, I don't trust Israel either, just like I don't trust the other side. Right. And let's just be honest. Pakistan and Israel, they've been beefing for so long. Let them beef. Get out of it. I hate getting in other people's beefs. What we jumping in their beef for? Well, we know why we jumping in their beef. Let me just put that out there. But America has no reason to be in that beef. Palestine, my bad. I meant Palestine. Appreciate that correction, Hisaka. We don't have no reason being in Israel and Palestine's beef. Coffee Girl says, I guess people forget the racist-ish Biden said as soon as Trump's feet hit the ground. Well, that's true, Coffee Girl, because Biden has made a lot of racist comments. So I agree with you, Coffee Girl, on that. I agree. Salute everybody. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. If you would like to support the channel financially, just hit the $ symbol. For those that's watching this on the replay, if you would like to support the channel, just click on the $ symbol in the comments. I appreciate everybody for pulling up. Salute. Make sure y'all double tap the screen and get my likes up. Let's get my likes up to 100. We got 70 likes. Let's get my likes up to 100. Help get this demonstration out into the YouTube algorithm. I'll let a little bit more play as we get up my likes. There go Coffee Girl again. Make sure y'all double tap the screen. Sabrina says taking the land from the Palestinians is an act of war. Facts. That's facts, y'all. Salute everybody. Double tap the screen, and I'll see y'all tomorrow.
Again, Anderson, after spending some time here in the Arab American community, you really get a sense that they feel like they've been let down by both Republicans and Democrats. Certainly, there's a great deal of frustration after hearing what Trump is proposing, but there's also a feeling that had Harris been elected, had it been a Harris administration, the feeling here is that Palestinians would still be suffering. Anderson?
Just Carol, thanks very much. And Dearborn with me now. Put some numbers to the stories. And senior data reporter Harry Anton. Generally speaking, has there been much an appetite in the U.S. for to get involved in rebuilding Gaza?
No, there has not been. Look, we have no new polling since last night, right? Polling works fast. It doesn't work that fast. But in the polling that we had prior, or that was taken towards the middle end of last year, what we saw was the overwhelming majority of Americans opposed the idea that the United States should take a lead role in reconstructing Gaza. You can see it right there, 57% opposed, just 37% support.
So look at the polls, y'all. Look at the polls. Only 37% feel like the U.S. should take the lead role in reconstructing Gaza. 57% is against it. All right. Next demonstration, we're going to chop it up about how do we all feel about America reconstructing Gaza. Salute everybody.